Hey everyone, and welcome to my show. My name is Nick Elston. I'm a leading inspirational speaker, creator of unique mental health engagement strategies, a transformational speaking coach, and founder of Forging People, a community created to empower, inspire, and educate people who truly want to be heard in life and in business. On these shows, I bring you the storytellers, celebrities, speakers, influencers, entrepreneurs, those who have gone from adversity to excitement, who share their stories with vulnerability, transparency, inspiration, and most importantly, completely unfiltered. So without any further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of The Nick Elston Show. And a big welcome back to the Nick Elston Show, Season 3, Episode 2, bringing you some amazing and inspirational and exciting people. And today is absolutely not different from that at all. Someone really, really fantastic. We have Becca Francis, the wonderful Becca Francis. Big round of applause.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi.
So I'll be honest, if my voice is a little bit weird at the minute, I've been choking on a Snacker Jack. I'm trying to wash that down with tea as we go. Always be honest, as you know me. Best to be open about these things. So Season 3, Episode 2, what a way to continue the season by bringing yourself on. So myself and Becca crossed paths actually during lockdown by delivering a talk for her previous employer. And we just kind of kept in touch since, really. She sent me some really nice thank you gifts afterwards. It's really stuck with me. One of my favourite books as well, which we'll probably go into too. But yeah, so tell us all about yourself and where you are now as well.
Okay, so my name's Becca. I am an Agile Coach for Nottingham University at the moment, and that's where I live, so I'm in Nottingham Way. I have a real passion for mental health and neurodiversity, as I am ADHD as well, and my son's autistic. And yeah, I've been in kind of Agile coaching for on the job kind of coaching, working in projects and programs for quite a while, and then Agile coaching probably for the last year or so. I've not been at the university too long. It's quite a new role, which I've started during obviously lockdown as well. So yeah, that's me. That's where I am.
Interesting stuff. So I have a really eclectic audience of they found me through different ways. And as of this week, actually, we are now going out through the BBC as well. This is cool. This is really, really cool. So anyway, that's by the by. So Agile coaching. So it's not, for those who are not in the know, this isn't just you coach very, very quickly and you bounce around all over the place. Well, you may do that too. Tell us about Agile coaching.
Yep. So I work in mainly projects and programs or teams where you'll have projects and programs. And I'll work with the project team or with leadership teams to bring them on the journey of Agile. So Agile is what people have this misconception that it's just about how you manage a project, but actually it's a belief system, it's a mindset. So it's not, being in terms of, you can bend and you can flex, although it is in terms of your body, but it is in terms of how we do things. So it's about having a growth mindset. It's about being making it okay to learn. In terms of, people use this word, fail. I don't like that word. I think it feels negative. Agile is all about learning. It's about breaking complex big problems down into manageable chunks and delivering value to customers quicker, or just delivering the right value to customers. But what I love about Agile is people think, it's just about, software development, but actually Agile, like I say, it is a mindset and it's how you do things in life, or it can help people to have that kind of mindset and how you might do things in life. So it's helped me, and I do personal training part-time, although I've stopped recently, but it's helped me in my coaching and personal training, and it helped me in how I manage things at home as well. I used to have this big lifelong plan, I had to be married at this point, do this at that point. And when things started going wrong, I felt really down about that things weren't going to plan. And Agile is, short-term planning and iterating, and you can't always know the future. Businesses, companies don't know the future, as the last year or so has proved as well. So how can we adapt to change quickly, positively, and still deliver great stuff?
Absolutely. But the flexibility then is handy for you as a personal trainer or a personal trainer on leave at the moment. Important stuff. I mean, that's a big passion for you, isn't it? Physical fitness as well as mental fitness.
Yeah.
You touched on the subject of neurodiversity. Again, explain to people in kind of layman's terms, what is neurodiversity?
So neurodiversity, there's lots of people on obviously with different brains that work completely differently, and neurodiversity is there's things like autism that will sit on there, dyspraxia, dyslexia, and ADHD. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know about all of those things inside out, and I haven't lived with them either, but I'm really passionate about ADHD and autism, as I've explained kind of some of the reasons why, I'm ADHD. But also another thing that it kind of bleeds into is agile teams are cross-functional teams, they're collaborative teams, and to get great solutions, they have to collaborate and have different views and ideas. And when you've got a good selection of, you've got a really good diverse team and you've got some people in there that maybe are ADHD or autistic, the blend of different ideas, different thinking that you can get, I just feel was really, really awesome as well. So it kind of, they all blend into each other, some of these things.
I quite like that. It's kind of like an ecosystem going on in your world, isn't it? I like that. And you alluded to that kind of personal relationship with neurodiversity through yourself and your son. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'm ADHD, which is, for people that don't know, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And I was speaking about this recently, saying actually that sounds like such a negative thing, hyperactivity disorder, deficit, they sound like, oh, like why, like that's a real problem to be diagnosed with. Whereas I actually believe it's my superpower. I was diagnosed when I was 34, so only a year ago. I kind of knew about it, probably as I was growing up, I knew that I was different, didn't know about ADHD, and it was a naughty boy syndrome. And then about 4 years ago, as my son was going through his journey of understanding himself and through challenges at school, he was diagnosed with ADHD. And it was at that point that the lady I was working with, the counsellor at the time, kind of indirectly told me that, she told me it was genetic, it could be hereditary, and then indirectly told me that she thought I was ADHD too. So I started to explore that, and a lot of things did make sense at that point on my son's journey. So my son George is 17 now, and he's had a few challenges going through mainstream school and things like that. But he's autistic, he's on the autistic spectrum, and he's also ADHD as well.
Wow. And how important is that kind of diagnosis or label to starting to manage things effectively or positively?
Yeah, I find this really interesting because some people sort of say, oh, it's just another label, why do you need to know that you're ADHD? Everyone's got a different brain. Of course they have, it's really helped me understand me. There were certain things I do that probably really cheese off some of my friends and family as well. I've lost my bank card about 4 times this I don't know, in the last few weeks, something like that. I'm quite I find it quite challenging sometimes to be, on time for things, just not because I like being late, I hate being late, but just where I'm sort of get lost in that time zone. I'm doing my own thing, I'm focusing on multiple things. And so when I got my diagnosis, it really helped me understand a lot about myself, a lot about my brain, and then some of the strategies I could try to help with some of those things that I found challenging. It also at that point probably sent me on a bit of a emotional roller coaster, because it was kind of like I always knew for years that I was different, but if I would have known and been diagnosed early and understood that's how my brain worked, I probably would have had different outcomes in life. I don't know, but I couldn't dwell on that point too much. Life happens, you go through things because that's what you experience. But for example, my GCSEs, I revised and revised, but my working memory is not always great. So I would read the book and not take in what I was revising. But actually, if I would have known at that point that, that wasn't the right thing, the right way for me to learn, and I was always going to struggle with that, would things have been different? I put myself under so much pressure, and I got good grades, but it was a lot of effort compared to some of my peers. So yeah, it's been important for me, and I'm really proud that I'm ADHD, and it's helped me also to be really open and honest about, you know, some of my challenges. So for example, if I'm doing a slideshow presentation, I really struggle with that. I've got great ideas, I can talk about them, I can draw them on a whiteboard, but I can sit in front of a laptop and struggle to put it onto a presentation. Whereas now I'm great at sort of saying, that's an area that I really struggle with, and looking at how I can do things differently, or using different tools, or getting someone from the team to help me with it. So it's been really important for me, but it's been a positive mainly.
I can absolutely relate to so much of that. Same destinations come from different places, but those kind of feelings absolutely kind of relate to that. And what I love, one of the many things I love, is the fact that you share that kind of with vulnerability, and you are very open in terms of what you share, both publicly and also to your team members and things. And I think that superpower thing really shines through, because I know from conversations with other people that have worked alongside you just how much of a positive impact you are, and how you've used those kind of perceived challenges to then go and help other people. But you'll happily go onto LinkedIn, for example, which is the only platform we now exist in, so I can only assume it's across the board. But in LinkedIn, you'll be very open about your thoughts and your feelings and how things are for you. And even if you're not in a good place, you'll share that as well. How much of a kind of a piece is that for you? Is that kind of like very much self-therapy? I do that very much myself, is to share stuff as my own therapy, but also, by the way, it will also help other people to normalize the conversation, I guess. Is that the same kind of thing for you?
Yeah, I don't think it's self-therapy. I'm quite comfortable in, I suppose, who I am, what I am, you know, things like that. And I think it's more born out of, you know, in my life, as everyone has, I've been through some challenges, some things that are not particularly nice, and those things are still taboo subjects. I'm 35, and they're still, you know, things that people shy away from. And actually what I've realised is, there were times in my life, and there's been times when I've not known where to go or who to turn to. And actually, if there was just one person that had maybe, you know, that I knew about, I could have probably approached them. And so I want to, you know, I don't ever want anyone to feel alone with if they're facing some of the challenges that I've faced as well, or if there's anything I can help them with. And particularly, you know, around ADHD or autism, what I learned on my son's journey was there were a lot of colleagues that had got children that, you know, they were struggling with, or they didn't know where to turn to. And actually, as through talking, I realised it was more common than people were willing to sort of admit, or people really knew. And so I think I mean, and one of the things why I got into PT, into personal training, was my ambition was to train as a personal trainer, because I like exercise and how it helped me on my mental health journey. But I wanted just to help. My ambition was to help one person with their mental health. And as long as I'd achieved that, I felt that I'd met my goal. And I guess by being open, by being honest, by sharing and talking, those things that people had, you know, typically brushed under the carpet or pretend don't exist, start to become real for people, and start to hopefully become more accepted.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's another great example of using your adversities that would have destroyed somebody else to actually to forward something better. It drives you in a very positive way, doesn't it? It gives you that fuel, that direction. And that is really contagious. Let's face it, that is really contagious, especially with somebody in what you do as a leader. That's really, really contagious thing. Do you find that with other people? Do you find yourself supporting and lifting other people around you?
I'm probably, yes, I've been told that. And a lot of people say, you know, I'm inspirational, and I probably struggle to recognise that. I just see myself as being me, and wanting to help people, wanting to be open, you know. And I think at the end of the day, in work, that people sometimes forget that everyone's human. We're there to do work, but actually people go through some horrific things that sometimes, especially even more so now, you're behind a screen and you don't know that's happening to that employee or to your colleague. And actually, if I can sit there and say I've had a rubbish week, or this is what I struggle with, or that my son's had to go for an appointment for his ADHD, something like that, it connects people, and they might not have the confidence to come to you straight away, but eventually, they might do. So yeah, I think I don't see myself as being inspirational or anything like that. I'm just me.
But you wouldn't, but you are, kind of thing. And I think, yeah, and I absolutely get that too. I think it's also, you find genuine community because you are reaching out about things that people don't reach out about. So we kind of think that we're the only people to experience what we experience, to suffer what we suffer with, and all those kind of thoughts and feelings, until we share. And then you find there's a whole shed load of people just waiting for somebody else to speak up about this stuff. And it's kind of what you do. Are you truly being heard in life, in education, in business? Your ability to deliver any message with clarity, power, and emotion will have an ultimately defining impact on your success, personally and professionally. Forging People, founded by Nick Elston, is an online community developed to empower, inspire, engage, and educate you to truly step up. Complete with online courses, early access to in-person coaching and events, free resources, and a community of like-minded people, Forging People will help you manage anxiety, boost confidence, and give you the tools to speak to any audience, whether it's one person or 1 million people. Speaking is more than just standing on stage. Speaking is business. Speaking is leadership. Speaking is influencing. Speaking is life. Contact Nick's team today on pa@nickelston.com or visit nickelston.com today to register your interest. This is the sign you've been looking for. So before I met you, what were you about? You've alluded to some kind of experiences and challenges, and professionally as well, personally, what were you about? What kind of led you to my door in that sense? What were you about before that point?
So yes, like I say, I've had quite a few kind of challenges growing up, and didn't have a particularly great childhood, and have been on the receiving end of abuse in terms of through parents, and also domestic abuse in relationships as well. And then I kind of continued on this journey of then becoming a single parent, and having a child with additional needs that need to look after, as well as as a single parent, as well as doing the jobs that I was doing, and I was doing really well in those jobs. I was successful. But when I went into a role as I was leading a team, and actually I didn't really want to lead a team. I loved working on projects because I was a project manager or delivery manager, and I could have a team, but I didn't have the kind of HR issues, or having to, always having to see what their leave was, or finding out what, I don't know, just making small talk. I kind of didn't really enjoy that part, or felt that I didn't enjoy that part. And I took a role because I was getting made redundant, took a role, and it was leading a team. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a stab at it, because people had said they love working on my projects with me because they're good fun, and we have a laugh, and actually I connect with people. And so I took this team, and we did some amazing things. We did great things. But during lockdown, what I saw was a lot of the guys in my team, we had got, we started to open up and openly talk about mental health. On my second month of working with them, it was Mental Health Awareness Week, and I openly talked about the journey I've been on. And I remember shaking as I was telling them, and people overheard it on, some of the calls, and came round and asked if I was okay. And so we created a really good culture where these guys and, the ladies in the team could talk openly about how they were feeling. But what I noticed in lockdown was the wider team, there were still some people that I could see were struggling, and that didn't want to admit that. And that's why I reached out to you. I came across you, thought you were so inspirational, just connected, and something just hit with me the first time that I heard you. And I thought, you know what, I think that let's make a difference here. Like, you know, I work for a company and you get Mental Health Awareness Week and you get a slide pack that comes out and you get something on the intranet. I'm like, that's not real. You know, people need to hear what's real. And I guess I brought that to them. I was real. I, you know, was open about challenges, and that's how I got in touch with you and thought I need this guy to come and give them some authenticity.
I'm mighty glad that you did. It was a really enjoyable session. And following that, the book that I alluded to, I was reaching for then, was this one here. I love that. So for those who didn't see the screen, it's The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Macquarie. Is that correct? What a beautiful book, full of beautiful images and messages. First time I'd heard of that book, and it's such an amazing gift. So firstly, thank you. I'm sure I've said this before, but thank you so much. But where did you come across the book?
I was really fortunate. One of my best friends bought it for me, and apparently just saw it and thought Becca's going to love that. So I had it as a present. Since I was given mine, it lives on my bedside table and it doesn't move from there. I always find it's really strange. I will pick it up and it always seems to land on the page that I need at that moment. But it just, the lovely illustrations, the bits in there about, you know, sometimes you just need a piece of cake with your friends and, you know, that's okay. It's good to be kind, all of that. It just really hit with me. And then since, I obviously said thank you to you with that. I shared it with teams, and during lockdown, at the end of the meetings, I'd grab it and I'd say one of the pages and read it out to them. And then I started doing like on social media, I did a competition to help people during lockdown to win some. So I just bought a couple and just try and help other people, because I found on my journey of, you know, of mental health and getting better, I suppose, but also then just staying in touch with how I'm feeling and not letting myself go back there. That book's been really inspirational to me. So my one friend that gave it to me has probably helped about 12 or 13 people as well that I've now shared it with.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful. The link is going to be in the bio as well. It's absolutely worth sharing. So you mentioned kind of like your mental health, you're helping, supporting other people, you have your own challenges, and you help to your son to nurture and to thrive. How do you look after you? What do you do every single day, or should you do every single day, that really lifts you? What really works for your well-being to give it a boost?
Yeah, it's taken me a while to learn this one, because I always am known for putting other people first before me. And you made reference to it actually about putting your own oxygen mask on, and I think that is important, and that's something I've also had to really learn as a leader as well, because I can, you know, sometimes take on and absorb other people's energies or feelings, and that's some of that is also part of ADHD. You know, we're actually quite deeply emotional people, and so I've had to really, really learn this skill. But I would say I've kind of starting to master it, in that I know now that, so I do things like wild swimming. I go to the Peak District.
Very cool. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I live not far from the Peak District, which is absolutely beautiful, and it's so vast that there's lots of places I can go to. So I always have an aim to do it at least twice a week if I can. Drive to the Peak District, jump in some waterfalls in the cold water, you know, go for a nice walk, or into the river, whatever it might be. And that's I occasionally do it with one friend, no more than that. But I try and aim to do it once a week as well, just totally on my own. That's like my therapy as such. And I went to Scotland last week, actually. We went to see the fairy pools in Skye. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to be jumping in there. It's going to be fantastic. But what I realised was there are so many people there. And I realised it's not that I don't like people, but actually the reason I go to the water and I like to put my head under the water is to be alone, or to be in that peace. And, you know, when you're in that cold water, you just have to be in that moment. And when there were so many people there, it didn't give me that same feeling. So I do that. I obviously love the gym. I'm big into fitness. That was really what pulled me out and helped me on my when I was severely depressed. Was fitness. So I try and work out maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and I walk a lot as well.
Brilliant. And music's quite big for you as well, isn't it? Because you sent me a wonderful kind of track, which I've then kind of added to a playlist of just music that chills me out by Ludovico. I can't remember. Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing, beautiful.
Music is huge for me. I actually say I could not live without my Spotify monthly subscription. And, you know, even when they put the price up, I was like, yeah, that's fine. It's massive. It's always been a massive part of my life. Both, you know, like Ludovico obviously is mainly piano, no words, no lyrics, and then songs that are total opposite to that. I've got such a weird taste in music. Pretty much anything goes. But yeah, and I also I like to write poems. Like that's how sometimes I get some of my thoughts and feelings out as well. So music and lyrics, yeah.
That's really cool. The guest we had on last week, a guy called Jack Nolan, uses slam poetry to help with his mental health. And it's such an amazing creative force, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah.
Really cool. Now we'll circle back to music before we finish today, but we were kind of talking in the green room just before we hit record around kind of being back out in person again. So we are recording this, he says, scrabbling for the calendar, on the 6th of September. And this week I have my first in-person event booked to speak in front of a few hundred people, relatively local event to me. And I'll be hands up, I'm a little bit petrified, to be fair. There's through being shielded through a lot of this, I think just generally, like you said, it conditions you that inside's safe, outside's not safe. I might have mentioned that last week. So actually going back out into the real world in front of like live people with trousers on, because it's kind of like a legal requirement, I think, out in public. So that's, I'm sure it would be great. I'm sure it'll be like riding a bike, 3 minutes in and I'll be fine again. But yeah, absolutely, I'm quite anxious about that. Now, as a coach, you've had that experience already. How did that look for you in terms of going back out and training and coaching in front of live people again, humans?
Yeah, so I've been doing a bit recently, and it's mainly been sort of I guess as well, you can feel other people's anxiety in that room as well, you know. But I've got additional anxiety in that I'm part deaf in both ears. I wear hearing aids. And so with the social distancing and with some people still using masks and obviously some areas in the workplace still using masks, that's really challenging for me. And so being in big rooms when I'm running workshops has been quite hard. Now I've been, you know, I just thought, how do I deal with this? Because you sort of say, pardon, sorry, really sorry. And I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to have to be honest. I can't help it, you know. So when I've gone into workshops, I stood there at the front and said, you know, I'm deaf, so you're going to have to speak up or pull your mask down or throw something at me, you know, if you're trying to get my attention. I don't mind, you know, but I need you to know. And that's been quite like worrying for me, I suppose, and caused me that anxiety. And I have had just, I guess, bouts of that appearing as well. So I was doing a workshop a few weeks ago and went in, set the room up, and then I just started to feel really panicky and really anxious, started to, you know, to sweat and started to really struggle with, it sounds silly, in my breathing. And I could feel it happening. So I took myself out of the room and calm myself down a little bit, you know, took some fresh air and took deep breaths and stuff. And I thought, again, what do I do here? I couldn't even really put my finger on why I was feeling that way, other than I think it was, you know, getting back into that routine of being in a room, being at the front of a room. And went back in and I just sort of said to the team in there how I was feeling. And that was actually really nice, because I think it helps everyone feel a little bit more at ease, because I guess there were probably more people in that room feeling the same or similar way to me. So I've definitely learned, though, that I probably like the blend of in person and being at home. I definitely don't want to be in the office full time again.
Yeah, I think there's certainly the pattern that's following through. And thank you for sharing that, by the way. I'm looking at this morning at kind of the events I've got coming up. I think it's still only half are in person. Most of them, of that breakdown, most of them are still looking at online or hybrid events, with just under half being in person again. So I think it's changed a lot of things, isn't the way that you coach, the way that I speak, and lots of different things. So the work that you do at the university, is that with the students or the staff or both? Or
no, it's with staff that I do that. So it's just within a particular program team at the moment that I'm working within. So it's about 30-ish people. Some of them are offshore. We've got some offshore people as well. But yeah, that's what I do now.
Yeah, I mean, education is an interesting one because up until maybe the start of this year, I have worked in schools and universities, but it's never been a major kind of thing. But this year, I think there's been certainly so many different and potentially unique challenges within education that I've been doing so much work in that space with colleges and universities and schools and things, but not just from a student kind of application, from the staff, the lecturers and the teams and everything else as well. I think education has certainly had to manage a unique course, I guess, hasn't it? The way that it's built as a concern.
Yeah.
So, okay, where should we go before we wrap up? Because unfortunately, I could talk to you forever, but we have got to wrap up at some point. I apologize. Okay, so yeah, let's do this. I am now the MC of the O2 Arena. 20,000 people have paid our hard-earned money to come and hear you do your thing, whatever your thing is. I'm just about to call you to the stage. You're sat in the green room and your walk-on music kicks in. That song that motivates you, that lifts you, that gets you pumping. What would that track be and why?
This is such a hard question for me because, like I've said, I love music and there are so many awesome tracks. But I think I'm going to have to go with Queen and Don't Stop Me Now for that one.
Oh, tune. What a great track. Good choice. That'll certainly get you pumping, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's also a really good gym tune that you wouldn't think. But you know, when you're on the leg press machine, you've just got to get there. You've got to smash those weights out. It's actually a really good tune. So yeah, I think I'll go with that one.
So that's a double-edged song recommendation there. So if you're in the gym, don't stop me now. If you're on stage, don't stop me now. Either way, don't stop it now. Big round of applause. Thank you so much, Becca, for being on the show. You've been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for giving up your time. And a big round of applause for Becca.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And I'm sure you'll be back again over the duration of this podcast as well. I hope to get you back very soon. Thank you. For everyone else, please stay tuned for next week. We have another amazing guest lined up. A whole different walk of life next time. So stay tuned for more details. In the meantime, take care. Look after yourselves and see you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye. And that's a wrap. A big thank you for tuning into today's episode. Please do leave us a like and hit subscribe for the fantastic upcoming episodes that I will be bringing to you, featuring more amazing guests. But for now, be well, be happy, be safe, and remember, as I always say, it's what you do next that counts. Until next time on the Nick Elston Show, take care. I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.